Oh. No, you're here, and she left. Well, maybe everybody forgot. So we'll go ahead and get started out of respect for your time and being prompt. Give me 1 second. Let me go get you some Burlington bucks for being here and on time.
Real quick, I think you already know, but just double checking. Tomorrow is not canceled, postponed, whatever, the 4G awards.
Yeah, cool.
Just making sure that everything got said, even though
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
expectations outlined by showing up and going, where the heck is she?
Where's everybody?
Better question, yeah, where's everybody?
Everybody but Carla. Right.
No, that's not good.
I got you. Thank you.
All right, so today is miscellaneous forms. And so these are those forms that we don't use on a regular basis. Maybe we may not use them on every transaction, but when do we need to use them and how do we properly complete them? Okay, so we're going to start with the FHA VA financing addendum. This is if the loan is FHA or VA, you use this addendum. This is a government form, so we have to make sure that this one is completed correctly. Make sure the property is identified, the seller is identified, and the buyer is identified on there. If it's FHA, then you would check the FHA box, and then in this line you would put what the purchase price is. In that blank line, you would put what the purchase price is, because if with an FHA or VA loan, if the property does not appraise, then the buyer is entitled to any earnest monies back. I know. You started without us. Well, I mean, Nellie was here and then she left. Okay. I have the microphone.
Good job.
I don't have anybody on Zoom, but.
Well, it will still be recording, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's, let me glance at one little thing here. Oh, hold on. Is it plugged in?
It was, I unplugged it to put this on.
This part.
Oh, that's right. I have to plug that part in.
Yep.
I forgot.
No, you're good. Here we go. Give me just a second to make sure you're up and running. And it's thinking about working. Let's see. Sorry, I needed this thing to, do I have to hit anything? Oh, yep. You're good now.
Okay.
Now you're recording.
Now I'm recording. All right. So we were just going over, we just started with the FHA VA financing addendum. And so just making sure that we are, because this is a government form, it's very specific the way it has to be completed. Identify the property, identify the seller, identify the buyer. Sometimes these get returned because the buyer agent didn't put the buyer's name on it before they sent it over. So just be aware, looking for those. Again, if it's an FHA loan, then you would put the purchase price in the dollar blank.
Which brings me to my very first question.
Mhm.
What is wrong with agents that can't put the buyer or the seller's name on their forms?
Yes, I know. I see it a lot. I return a lot because they didn't put the buyer's name on there.
Put it on already.
This is for anytime you're doing FHA or VA, this has to go.
That is correct, yes. And you would also identify in the offer to purchase that the FHA VA addendum is attached in the section where the addendums are. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about today are addendums that would be identified in that section. You're back.
Had to go meet a plumber, and I'm back.
Well, I'm glad you got a plumber that can get to a house.
Oh, well, yeah. It's my house though, so.
No. That's the reason why.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Signature page, this is on the flip side, on the back side of yours. Again, I go through it every time. If it is an individual buyer or seller, they sign as their name and signature. If it's an entity buyer or seller, then the entity is identified and the human signs on behalf of the entity. Any questions on this one? Everything that I just said? Let's see, what's the next one that we do? Where is it?
I do have a question about the FHA.
Yes,
So they are not they should not incur a penalty for forfeiture of earnest money deposits.
correct. Due diligence is non-refundable, but they are entitled to any earnest money back.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Somebody said that everything's right.
No, just earnest money. Yeah. Okay. Additional provisions addendum. This is, oh yeah, thank you. Should, a couple of cases where we may want to present something with the offer. So a condition of our offer. Number one is an expiration of the offer. This is time is of the essence. I will caution you a little bit on using this expiration of offer. If your buyer truly needs to know, like maybe they're going, they're just in town for the weekend and they need to know before they leave, if their offer is accepted. So a lot of times agents will also use this in multiple offer situations. Just be careful using it in multiple offer situations, because if the seller does not accept the offer by the time that you put in here, your offer is no longer valid
Automatic.
automatically. Yes, nothing needs to happen. There's no, believe it or not, there's not a form for that. It just automatically happens. So just be, use that wisely, I would
I
say.
think it's important that as you started out, if they're in town for a short period of time, whether it's a multiple offer situation or not, and they need to know something before they leave town, I can see that. But in a multiple offer situation, I know that the sellers that I've dealt with that, they're like, well, I'm not gonna take their offer anyway,
Right.
or
So yeah, because sometimes it can, the seller will kind of feels like, oh, well, they're trying to bully me into
Exactly.
accepting their offer when I may have another offer, additional offers coming in, or I have.
If I'm working with a buyer and they've seen 3 houses, 5 houses, and they really like 2 of them, and they want to try to work this one out first,
Right.
I would use it there.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. Number 2 is septic system installation. So this form can be used with the vacant land offer to purchase and also the standard offer to purchase. So this would be if it is conditional upon being able to install a septic system and the type of septic system and for the number of bedrooms. So if they're buying this piece of land and they need a 4-bedroom perk, this makes it conditional upon it perking for 4 bedrooms. And inspections by no later than, just make sure you put enough time here to account for the county, because they're not always real speedy. Oh, there's a note that says that right underneath it. Rental income investment property. So if you are selling an investment property that currently has tenants in it and has rent rolls and all of that, or if you are representing an investor purchasing an investment property with tenants in place, you would want to check number 3 to make sure that you get any information. Again, that would include any existing leases, rent rolls, record of security deposits, all of that by that time.
And again, I think we see a lot of agents that are not doing their due diligence and getting that stuff and making it available to agents.
Yep.
It's frustrating.
Agreed upon repairs and or improvements. So this would be, an example would be the agent puts in the MLS agent remarks, they put broken garage door to be repaired prior to selling, prior to closing. You still want to put it on here just to verify, because an MLS sheet is information deemed reliable but not guaranteed. So any repairs, anything like that, or anything that is noted, like, oh, there's a broken window and the buyer wants that broken window repaired, don't wait until we get into due diligence, negotiating, because the seller may be like, nah, not doing it. If there's something that the buyer wants at the time of offer,
But
differently if it's like this, we're gonna make this deal or not make this deal. Whether or not that window gets replaced. If it's like, otherwise, wouldn't you wait until the inspection and then add it all in? But if they're like, we're not buying this house if this window is not replaced.
Right.
Right, then
Yes.
at that point, add this in.
Yes.
To the initial contract.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We're not going to buy this if the garage door is not repaired.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Manufactured home, does it have a manufactured home on it? If so, provide the VIN and any other description, year, model, that sort of thing. Pool spa inspection preparation. This is if there is a pool and the buyer is going to have a pool inspection. It just indicates that any cost associated with putting the pool spa in operable condition so that may be properly inspected, including but not limited to pool spa cover removal, filling the pool with water, operating electricity and filtration system, and any costs associated with any necessary re-winterization of the pool following any inspections is the responsibility of buyer or seller. Note that if you don't check the box, because you know, Carrie, sometimes agents don't always check the box, right? Then the buyer is responsible.
What goes in the blank next to the number? Checkbox?
What
Or
no?
an initial? If you have,
Oh, over there. It could just be it can be an X. Yeah, yeah. Or
I've been asked that.
Yeah.
And I've always just done an X, but I wanted to ask them.
yes, yeah. Either one is fine. Offsite and or separate septic lot. So if there is an offsite septic lot, then make sure that you are including it here, and it would also be on your offer to purchase. But again, this ensures that that offsite septic conveys with the main property. Any questions on this one?
Yes.
All right.
So permitted items that have not been permitted, put it here.
What do you mean?
So I know in our situation that we had a few years back, we were able to put it in the offer to purchase underneath governmental things.
Yes.
Now you cannot do that because it doesn't give you that space to do that.
Right.
So if I say, I've got a buyer looking at a piece of property, the agent put in the remarks that permits were not pulled,
Okay.
but did not specify what permits were not pulled
Okay.
for the work that was done in the house. So I asked, well, can you provide me a list of all the work that was done in the house? Well, the only thing that I really saw that needed a permit was the water heater. However, this house has 3 full baths built in 1962. At some point, one of those baths had to be added because you don't build a house with 3 baths. Right? You see what
There
I'm
weren't
saying?
many of that size home in 62 that had 3.
Right.
Yes.
So I've asked that question and I'm not getting a response as far as what wasn't permitted.
Okay. So I would use
Section 4.
I would use number 4
Right.
and state seller to provide list of work performed on property that was unpermitted. And it's part of the offer. So then they have to,
So then at that point, if my buyer says, I want this permitted,
Or even if they said that up front, put it there.
yeah.
All work that
What's
was-
the way what's the
I mean-
best way to do that?
yeah, I mean, I think you better be making a pretty good offer if you're asking them to get everything permitted. you know, I think that most of the time the seller is going to say, well, this happened before we bought the property. Where I'm not going to pay to have it permitted now. It was here when we bought it.
But at least the buyer then has the option of accepting the property as it is, knowing that these certain things were not permitted.
Yes.
Versus not knowing, and then they come back and sue my butt. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So, I mean, you could set in this same section, so you're requesting a list, so to make your buyer aware from a disclosure standpoint, which they should have done on the
Which
RPODs.
they did not.
Yes, so this is just a reconfirming, we want to know this information. Now, if you could on the same section put and have unpermitted items permitted, but again, your offer's probably not going to be accepted.
Maybe we could even get maybe specific enough to say all items that this particular seller did the work on, we're requesting it be permitted. Or the items that we know that should have been permitted, water heater, HVAC, whatever.
Yeah, deck.
Be itemized that to say, we need these items. Cause those things are not, when you file for a permit, you're only gonna file for the things that you want looked at.
Right.
They're not gonna come in and look at things that a previous owner necessarily did.
Right. So yeah, so
I make them go back and fix everything. Can I interrupt you for 1
Sure.
second? Mackenzie just called me, I don't know if you talked to her. Is there a big difference between putting in a commercial offer versus a residential offer?
Absolutely.
yeah, hugely. Yeah, hugely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
See, I want, it's only 120, it's a piece of property
doesn't
in
matter.
Gibsonville. No,
Yeah.
not me. She's giving it away, but they're calling Hast and Best Buy file.
Still, if it's a commercial property, it needs to be on a commercial form.
She's asking you, do you want it?
Oh, do I want it?
I'm not touching it.
I mean, I could do it, I guess, but I don't know that I'll have time today to get it done. That's the only thing for me.
Okay, I'm just saying, thank you.
Thanks, but no
You can
thanks.
recommend Roger Abbott if you want,
Yeah.
Roger Abbott's
He'll-
been doing
he-
all the commercial,
unless
besides
he's-
Barbara.
unless he's just slammed today, but. And he more than likely already knows about the property. Cause he
Yeah.
stays on top of that stuff.
This is Christy Donaldson's property, right?
I don't know, she just had 120 in Gibsonville. calling
Yeah,
Hast
this
and
is
Best
Christy
Buy.
Donaldson's.
And this guy's not even, I don't know who this person is, but she's waiting on a pre-qual. I'm like, if they're calling Hast and Best at 120 and you're not going in cash, then.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, but the property has been on the market for quite a while.
Right.
Okay, are we clear on this one now?
Yeah.
Okay,
This can be used for a lot of stuff.
yes. All right. Owners Association.
Now, if that
Yes.
was 12 million, learn about commercial real estate real quick.
If it were 12 million, then you would be having a mentor to, you don't just learn about commercial real quick. And particularly with a $12 million property, because if you screw up, do you have $12 million to,
Here's the biggest question I get from people wanting to do a commercial deal. So how much due diligence do we do with commercial property?
there is no due diligence.
There's none.
There you go.
It's not even, so it's not even in the offer.
Not even in, yes, we're,
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
mentioned.
thank you.
Yes,
Mackenzie,
yes,
for
yes.
taking notes.
Wash your hands of it. Yes. Okay, Owners Association disclosure addendum. When is this required? This is required anytime there is an HOA. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Thanks for participating. There may be more than one. Oh, thanks, potential spam. There may be more than one. Sometimes it might just be a, even though there may not be necessarily restrictive covenants, there might be an HOA for like road maintenance or something like that. So this is a disclosure of how much, who do I contact,
You need that on water side.
Mhm.
and what does that include? What am I getting for my money? I sincerely hope that the Real Estate Commission can figure out a way to make this form mandatory. I know they can't make it mandatory, but they could say this is conditionally mandatory, because this is laziness from
Absolutely.
an agent that doesn't want to do their job.
I would say, so, I've had so few listings, but when my first listing in an HOA, I did it on the sell side. And then I realized when I bought things, not me, but like on the
Mhm.
buy side, and that doesn't exist. And so.
You have to request it from the listing agent.
Well, I created it and I gave it to my people and then sent it to them for signature. So then I just did it. I did the work.
Yeah.
I mean, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as long as you know the information.
I mean, I looked at it, I figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your buyer needs to know, what am I getting for this money that I'm paying every month or
But on
every
the sell
quarter
side,
or
They should be doing this.
on the sell side,
They
yes,
should-
This should be uploaded in MLS, in my opinion.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. It's a disclosure document, just like RPOs, just like
Right, okay.
MOG, if it is
Surprising
subject to,
how
Do you,
often it's not done.
yes, yes.
so this basically replaced what? 2 pages of the RPD?
The RPOs, yeah, yeah. So it used to all be on the RPOs,
Right.
and then they took it off. And then we were all like, well, how do we disclose HOA? And so then they created
But
another
then
document.
I've also seen where people still, I don't know how, but maybe if it was an older listing, because this just came off the RPOs, didn't it?
Oh, no, like two years ago. Yeah, like 2 years ago. However, although,
Because I've seen people use it where it's on the last 2 pages on like the 16 page RPOs or whatever it is.
oh yeah, like an agent brought to me the other day and said, will this get kicked back in command if I submit it? And it was an RPOs from
I
2019.
mean, I've literally.
And
seen
I
it this
said,
year.
yes, absolutely, it will.
And people just cross it off with an X. It's not that, it's like
Wow.
on the RPOs.
Well, when I listed properties with that old form, I would just put a mark right up through from one
100%, but
corner
I've
to,
still seen it.
but there's
because
no way
I've
to
been
let.
In this for a
Yeah.
year and I've seen that.
yeah,
multiple times.
they should be, this should be what they're
Yeah,
using.
look at your date on the bottom corner.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, like literally, agent look and I said, well, let me take one guess as to who the listing agent is.
So let me ask you, how saucy is it then if you're like, then want to put in an offer, but then do you get that old, the expired RPO signed or whatever, or do you request for them to
Request
redo
a
it?
new one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they can accept your off, I mean, you can write your offer that buyer has not received RPOs because it's a different form.
Okay.
There's different disclosures on the new form than there were on the old form. And so yeah, more detail, you're requesting it from the listing agent. And, hey, I can always be the bad guy. And I mean, so that's exactly, the agent went back and said, there is no way that Karen is going to approve this piece of paper. And when I showed it to her, she said, shame on you, you should know better.
Okay.
Questions on this one?
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
What is this one, agreement? to amend?
Agreement to amend. So this is my favorite line when I say, there's a form for that. This is, so 4T is your agreement to amend. Thank you, Carrie. Notice at the top, it says amendment number. So there can be multiple agreement to amend. And one doesn't wash out the other. So they all add up. So if we are, let's say that we needed to remove a buyer because one of them has crappy credit and they couldn't get the loan with one party on there. So, all right, we're going to get them off of there. Go ahead and do it. Don't wait, because the lender needs that to continue to process. And then,
What if you have an additional seller?
yeah, you just add it up at the top.
Up here.
Yeah, yes,
I
yes.
was gonna say, I knew I'd seen this.
Mhm.
That's the old one.
Yeah. So purchase price,
What's the date?
if we're changing, what's the date on
The
it?
signature date.
When did the agent from our office get this signed by
By
her
the seller.
sellers? 2/26.
February of 26?
And what's the date of the form? $524, that's when it was updated. Yeah, 524 is the correct.
So there is the owners association.
Only disclosing,
Okay,
it
okay.
doesn't have everything that it covers.
Okay.
Yes, so it is a disclosure on there. It just,
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. It used to all be
Be
on there.
on there, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we may change the purchase price. We, yeah. We may have additional earnest money. So when is that money due? Building deposit, we don't really see that much. Due diligence fee and due diligence period. So we could, all of these, we might say, okay, well, your seller wouldn't let us in the house for a week and a half because they had the flu. So we want to extend our due diligence so that we could properly do our inspections. Okay, sure, no problem. We'll do that. And then, we might say, okay, well, we're going to increase the purchase price. I mean, there might be whatever reasons that, okay, we'll do that, but we want additional due diligence money. If it wasn't the fault of your seller, but the buyer is asking for an extension of due diligence, the seller might say, we'll give you more time, but we want more money. And so that's where you can do it all on,
We just did that. Timberlake.
yes. So, same thing. They might need to, so let's say that we're beyond due diligence but they need to extend the settlement date. We'll extend the settlement date, but we want additional earnest money. So might be, usually you have one when you're negotiating the other. And I mean, some sellers are just like, yeah, let them extend it. And, don't ask for anything, but typically. So settlement date, this is where we would change the settlement date. It defaults to 7 unless you check the box. If you check the box, then it reduces it down to 4, your cushion dates.
Do you have any recommendations on that?
Depends on how much you're getting drug along and what the communication is. I mean, if there's a valid reason, then, but if it's your,
I would think
the
if they're,
situation that y'all had, then
yeah,
I would have forced the hand.
oh, yeah. I mean, if they're extending an additional week, I don't see a problem with just being a 4-day additional.
Right.
On top of that.
Yeah.
Because what was the reason? Probably had a delay in the appraisal or something, right? However, what if it's the seller and they haven't got the repairs done? And they need to extend?
Yes.
It may be, okay, let's do 7, just in case it doesn't get done again by this date. So I think it just depends on every individual situation.
Yeah, I think so.
And in a situation where it's the seller that's basically having to.
The delaying party,
I
yes.
wouldn't ask for any type of additional monies either,
No, I mean,
but that's me.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
if
they just-
if the seller is the delaying party, then there would be no monies. Expenses, so this is a situation, okay, we negotiated repairs, seller said, I'm not making any repairs, but I'll give you $5,000. So this is where we would change it from whatever it was on the contract to what the new amount is. I want to go back to due diligence fee. So we had a situation this week where closing was, I think today, and the sellers, one was in Minnesota, one was in New Hampshire, something like that. Divorce situation. 500 of the due diligence was sent via certified mail to seller in Minnesota. $500 of due diligence was sent to the seller in New Hampshire. Certified mail. Tracking. Like the agent was tracking it. And that was like 3 weeks ago. And the one in Minnesota still had not received the due diligence check. Supposed to close on Wednesday. We're trying to figure this out on Monday. The seller in New Hampshire received it. Well, it was delivered, but they weren't home to receive it, so it's sitting at the post office. The post office is an hour and a half away, and the seller does not want to drive an hour and a half to go pick up the $500 check. So buyer called his bank. They put a stop payment on it, even though it was it was a bank check. It was certified bank check. Because it was delivered, they were able to put a stop payment on one of them. The one that had not been delivered, they couldn't do anything about that. So we used this form to change the due diligence fee from $1,000 to $500. Because there's still $500 out there that they're going to get at some point in time. So, some quirky things like that happen. But, and then home warranty, again, we're negotiating repairs or whatever, and the buyer asks the seller for whatever, to replace the HVAC unit. Nope, it's working fine, but I tell you what, I'll give you a home warranty. So that's where we might add a home warranty in. Escrow agent, so this is if the escrow agent changes from what was on the original contract, because maybe you put Ashley Carter on there and then she doesn't do closings on Fridays. So you had to change it to, and that money go to somewhere else. This would be that place. This is also the place that should you negotiate any additional earnest money, even if there wasn't initial earnest money, additional earnest money, this is where the escrow agent would sign receipt
What about
of
the
that.
diligence? If there's additional due diligence based on the other page.
Yes,
Do they sign?
just do another, you're
another
going to have two,
14?
yeah, you're going to have two page 14s. Yep.
Well, they didn't just add it in with that box. Here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wait till July. No.
Yeah, yeah, really. Any questions on this? So anytime that we never, ever, ever modify a fully executed contract, ever. Anything that needs to be changed on a fully executed contract can be changed using agreement to amend 4T. Ever. Let me say it louder. We never modify a fully executed contract. Everybody good on this one?
Yeah.
Never modify it, never modify.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
We
Oh.
never modify an
Never.
execute.
And don't let the seller not be the last one to sign a contract
Yes,
either.
for sure.
Seller to sign, we get the buy, oh, no, 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 no.
Oh, well, I was
That's
just
right.
talking about this change we had to make. The listing agent on this thing I had to fix this week. The listing agent had the seller sign for receipt of due diligence, and they still haven't received it, and that was 3 weeks ago.
You didn't tell that part. I missed it.
No, I didn't tell that part, but it wasn't, we weren't the listing agent, so it wasn't our. All right, what's next? Agreement to.
Kind of hard to sign an agreement to amend the due diligence fee when they've already signed that they received it.
Yeah, well, all right, here is your other form that fixes everything. Agency agreement and amendment. Oh, sorry. So, and again, note that it has number, so there can be more than one of these. And again, they just stack on top of each other.
So you don't need to add, if you were to do a second one, you don't need to go back and put the information from one into two. It's there.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so this can modify the listing agreement, and it can also modify the buyer agency agreement. Not a separate form, there used to be. Glad it's just one now. We need to extend, whether we're extending the listing or whether we're extending the buyer agency agreement. Just a reminder that your agency agreement must go all the way to closing. So just because it was going to expire, but you got it under contract, and so, but you can't represent your client in the transaction without an effective agency agreement. So even though we're under contract on the list side, the seller still needs to sign that extension through closing. And
Our Grace Avenue, we just did that.
yeah,
It was supposed to expire on 2/28. Offer came in just prior to that. Scheduled to close or offered to close at 4/22. So we extended it through the end of April.
yes.
Actually, it was 3/28.
Yeah. And you know, if the seller or the buyer give you any flack about that, I'm not signing that extension, because you know they might be mad because it hadn't sold in, you know, the time frame or whatever. Then that's what your conversation looks like. The conversation looks like, I understand your frustration. However, please know that I can't represent you in this transaction I can't be your fiduciary without the extension. I can represent you up until when it would have expired, but I can't represent you. And it does not negate that I've earned the compensation. So just, so extension, compensation or firm's fee. So let's say that in negotiations, as the listing agent, you decided to go from 3.5% down to 3, this is where you would change it. Cooperative compensation. So let's say in your buyer agency agreement, or the seller decides to change the cooperative compensation. Only reason I say this is because Nellie just did one. So in her buyer agency,
Yesterday.
yeah, in her buyer agency agreement, she originally put 2.5 as the compensation she expected to receive. Well, this agent, who naturally is a Keller Williams agent, is offering 3%. So she used this form to just change it from 2.5% to 3%.
Initially signed 3% and the seller party, whatever, they're offering 2.5. Do you still need to do this? Or since you've already gotten the permission to get the 3 and it's less than, then you're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So then just maybe always put 3.
This is also where you can modify agency. So let's say that I've had a couple of these recently on with agents that do practice same agent dual agency, but then they got into a designated agency situation because they brought an offer on a Keller Williams listing that practices dual designated dual designated dual agency. So this is where I had to go back. I had to return the file and say, use Form 710 to modify. Now they did it right on the offer to purchase. So on page 13 on the offer to purchase, they checked dual for the firm and they checked designated dual as the agent, but then I have to go back and look at both of their listing agreement and buyer agency agreement to see what they checked there and make sure that the forms match. So if you ever get something returned that says use Form 710 to change agency authorization, then this is what you would use Form 710. This is where you would change it from, and it may go either way. Like you may have, you could have put designated dual, and then a situation happens and it's like everybody's in agreement with you being dual. Either way, this is where you would change that. Also where you change your list price. Any other amendments? So this might be seller to offer 5,000 in buyer closing costs. So we need that permission from the seller in order to put that into, advertise that into MLS.
This is.
Yep, you got it. Yep, Form 710. So 4T modifies anything on a offer to purchase and contract. 710 modifies anything on a buyer agency agreement or on a listing agreement. We never modify a fully executed agreement. Ever.
Ever.
Say more when you say that, you know,
We never modify a fully executed agreement.
so that's when everybody signed it?
Yes, yes. So once everybody has signed it, we don't go back and make changes to it. Whether it's an offer to purchase, whether it's a contract, or whether it is a buyer agency or a listing agreement. Form 7, yeah, Form 710 modifies your agency relationship, your agency agreements. Form 4T modifies anything on the offer to purchase and contract. Questions on this one? Oh, what's next? Oh, yeah, this one's only going to take just a second. Additional, I'll get it while I'm up. Additional signatures addendum. The biggest thing that I just want to go through on this is, let's say that you have lots of heirs, that more than two parties need to sign the documentation. Again, we list, come on, we'll get over here. Additional signatures addendum is attached to and made part of the following named documents, including any addendum listed here. So we have a listing agreement, we have an MOG, we have an RPODS, we have a lead-based paint, we have an owners association addendum, whatever it is, WWREA, whatever it is, you want to put all of those things in that line.
Why is it that I seem like I've used all these documents very recently?
Very recently, yes. And then also just identify if it's a buyer or a seller with the checkbox. And
A seller or a buyer's agent have their buyer sign this as well somewhere. And it's been a while back. And it was my seller, their buyer. It was like, they don't need to sign this.
there's nowhere for them to
There's
sign
nowhere,
it,
right?
yeah, but.
No, she checked the box, buyer.
Oh, and so, okay, well.
Yeah.
So typically so you may have two of these, right? Because you might have one on all of your listing paperwork and then another one on your offer to purchase paperwork.
We did. That was on Rob.
Yes, yes. Any questions on this one?
Who is?
I have a question, I don't know which form it would be.
Okay,
So I contacted somebody that's doing a FISBO in my neighborhood,
uh-huh,
and I found out the lady passed away.
okay.
So it's her two children, that are selling the home, but when I look in MLS, it's still under the lady's name.
Yes, and so most of the time it will be, because and so this was something that, Carla, I don't know if, get back over here. I don't know if were you here for the heritage title where Lauren Nance was? Okay, so she was talking about this, and so the person on like the tax card, the person on the deed is going to be the deceased person until it's changed. So there may be an executor that is handling all of the property of the deceased. And so typically that's why in commands you'll see any the will, that sort of thing, where it verifies that they are entitled to convey the property.
Okay, so they have to show you proof that they're the executor.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Once it goes through probate, then you still want to have the deeds changed. I mean, even before it goes through probate to whoever the heirs are. But that doesn't always happen because people don't want to pay $250 to an attorney to have that done. But it saves them so much later. Yes, yes. Okay, notice of unilateral termination from the seller to the buyer. Is that what we're doing?
What it says, yep.
Okay, from seller to buyer, just wanted to make sure. Okay, so these are, this is when the seller can unilaterally terminate the contract, meaning the buyer doesn't have to agree, the seller can just terminate. Buyer's failure to timely deliver due diligence fee or initial earnest money following written notice from the seller. So there is a form for that. To request for monies. Use your words, Karen. Come on. Like, I'm struggling today. if that is not delivered, if that's not fulfilled, the seller can unilaterally terminate. If the buyer does not deliver any additional earnest y'all stop. Additional earnest money, there's no written notice required on that because it says time is of the essence on the contract. So if that's not delivered, seller can unilaterally terminate. Buyer's delay in settlement and closing beyond the time permitted in the contract or as amended. So 7 days, seller's not the delaying party, buyer delayed for 7 days, and then we find out they're not going to be able to get the loan, but they're not going to sign anything. Seller has to wait that 7 days before they can, the 7 cushion days, before they can unilaterally terminate. And then also, if it's a short sale situation, but I would strongly encourage you to stay away from those. So those are the reasons, those are the legitimate reasons. Anything underneath that, we would want the seller to consult an attorney on. If they check either of those 2 boxes underneath, seller gives notice of termination and alleges that buyer has breached the contract. Anytime somebody mentions the word breach to you, attorney. That's not something that we can decide or settle. That if they are strong about that, then they need to contact an attorney because that's a lawsuit. Seller gives notice of termination without providing a reason. Oh, I just changed my mind. Again, they would want to consult an attorney. What does this mean? Like, how does this impact me? What am I what's the buyer? What do I have to pay back to the buyer or to make the buyer whole? Only requires the seller's signature. If there is earnest money, seller either does or does not agree to release the earnest money. Release of the earnest money does not have anything to do with the termination. So you can terminate and not agree to release the earnest money. The termination is still valid. Questions? I'm burning through them. What am I doing with this? Okay. Come on. Okay, buyer's unilateral right to terminate. When can the buyer unilaterally terminate? Yes. They of course can terminate during the due diligence period. They can terminate after the due diligence period. And if there's no earnest money, then they're out, they're not out anything. If the property is not in substantially the same or better condition at closing as of the date of offer, reasonable wear and tear accepted. So tree falls through the property, the buyer, they don't have to buy. Lack of governmental compliance following notice to seller and opportunity to cure. Carrie, here's your permits right here. Buyer's right to terminate. I'm not going to go into backup contract, short sale. We don't get into those as much. Buyer's right to terminate under FHA VA financing addendum. Property didn't appraise. They can terminate. Non-receipt of the RPODs or mineral oil gas.
So if they wanted 250 and it only appraised for 230 and you say I don't want it, you can do that? Or they don't tell you now you gotta come up with 20?
No. Yeah. So as the buyer, you can ask the seller, do you want to come down to 230? And if the seller says no, then the buyer can say, well, I'm not buying it. Yeah, absolutely. And then same thing, non-receipt of vacant land disclosure. Again, anything, either of the two boxes below, talk to an attorney.
Now, going back to it didn't appraise, if it's FHA or VA, make sure you know that document and what it states, because there's things in that they could possibly be tied to, let's put it that way. That's why that's why you've got some of these that say FHA, VA financing addendum. There's what, one, two, just the one. Buyer's right to terminate under FHA, VA. So if it doesn't appraise, they can terminate and they do get their earnest money back.
Correct. They do not get due diligence money back, but they do get earnest money.
And that doesn't matter if it's past the due diligence date or not. If you think about it
Yes.
too, most appraisals come in after most people put their due diligence date, unfortunately, because they're not putting them out far enough to incorporate that. So, but for FHA, VA, it wouldn't matter. But if it was conventional or another type of loan, they might have a dispute over earnest money at that point.
Okay, we're past time, so moving on. Termination agreement. This is when the buyer and the seller mutually agree to terminate the contract. They may or may not agree on how the earnest money is to be distributed, but they do agree on that the contract is terminated. Be very aware of number 5 on here. We've had some sneaky agents that have, well, let me say, a sneaky agent and an agent that didn't read the form in its entirety. Refund of due diligence. Oh, sorry. So this would be
Thank you.
if they put refund of, so they might put refund of inspection costs or due diligence fee or both. So just be very cognizant on this form when you get a mutual agreement that you are reading this. We had a seller that ended up having to give back due diligence because the sneaky agent wrote it in here and our agent didn't read the entire form. So, yeah. Okay. Sneaky agent. I have just 2 more. This is your statement of agency relationship. This is when these tract builders say, send me a copy of your buyer agency agreement. Well, we don't share our buyer agency agreement. This is where we can send them this form that says, this is what my agency relationship is with the buyer, and this is how much compensation my agreement says that I'm going to receive.
Okay, so what if they're doing, so what if you've signed it for 3 and they're doing one of those like specials and they're giving everyone 4, right? Do you put what's on your agency agreement, or then have you already at that point, if you have decided you want to purchase this, you already do an addendum to the other one, so then you've changed it to 4, and then this should say 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's also going to say that the compensation is also going to be in their contract that the buyer signs as well. Yes. Okay, last one that I have is closing guidelines for the seller. This is a handy dandy nifty little checklist that you can take this information, brand it to yourself, brand it, to your brand, put it in your listing packet, send it to your sellers as part of the, we're getting ready to go to the settlement party packet. Good little resource there. And that's all I have. Any questions on anything? Okay. Um,
I mean, it's fine. It's not like that. Question,
okay.
but it's